Well, thank you, and thanks for the invite, and appreciate you guys all being here today. What I want to do is obviously make this interactive, and so we'll go around the room a little bit. Want to get to know you guys a little bit, but let me start with, Thomas talked a little bit about my background. I've been running chambers for the last about 12 years, maybe a little bit longer. And really my passion is about small business and starting business, and which fits perfectly with today's context. A lot of times people start businesses for a mix of reasons, but and sometimes it could be to resolve a problem or find a solution to a problem. Sometimes it's about something you're passionate about. But oftentimes, and I'll use my brother as an example, he's an engineer basically, and he found a new way to make a doorbell. When you think about a doorbell, how simple is a doorbell, right? I mean, you all have a picture of what that looks like. Well, I always say he made kind of a funky doorbell. It's self-lit, it's different design, it's designed like pretty cool. It's round. It comes in different shapes, but it's something that you looked at every day. We all did. Never thought about. And my point of my story, bring it back to our topic today, is, here's someone who's very, had an idea, understood what that product inside and out, but for a while his business was about that product, and we all aren't about products. We're about services, we're about people. And so, whether it's something that you've created or a solution set that you, in terms of your business, are trying to solve, that might be great, but if you don't have a network, you don't have that relationship out there, and so I want to get a little bit deeper into that as today goes. But before we do, tell me a little bit about why you're here and where, if you haven't started, what kind of direction are you leaning towards?
I'm actually a commercial lender with Home Street Bank.
Okay.
One of Thomas's friends, but relationships are kind of the lifeblood of what we do. So
Yep.
The more I can learn, the better.
Yep.
Similar why. I'm John Guardia. I'm with New York Life, doing financial services and life insurance, and always interested in listening to what comes out of the chamber, and especially what's coming up with relationship building.
Right.
Greg Mowat, GTM Transformations LLC. I'm a single member LLC, do workforce development, labor relations, and conflict resolution work here in town. And of course, the Chamber is currently my chief client. I'm doing the Veteran Business Service Program, seeking good jobs for veterans amongst the businesses of Tacoma and Pierce County.
And probably could tell a few stories about how networks and relationships have made your business successful and the work that you do.
My name is David. I'm a UW student, and I'm just here to learn.
All right. Very good. So we know Thomas.
My name is Jesse. I'm a UW student as well. I'm just here to look at the people that have actually been there and experienced it.
Right.
Pick up what I can.
Very good. So let me kind of dive into a little bit of some things that I see that I think is kind of natural, but and some of you, Greg, I think probably does it as well. Is when the first thing is about, to me, it's you represent. We go back to my brother's doorbell, right? And that doorbell is a product, but people are going to do business with you as a person, and so how you interact and how you connect with people matters, and it could be, a product and services, in the financial world that someday I'm going to need, but I'm going to trust those people that I've interacted with, and that have not necessarily tried to sell me, but tried to help me along my path, and so give me resources, give me tools, being the experts in their field, and these two gentlemen are probably that as well. Is that if you can be an expert in a field and you can teach and you can help people, then when I'm needing something like that. So if it's a service or something like that, to me, I always tell people that you need to be out there offering out. I mean, you can't be volunteering your time 100%, right? Your business balance sheet, check account doesn't work that way. but you have to spend some time to build those relationships that are outside. We all have a natural relationships that we may or may not work. It always amazes me, and I'll just point to a church setting. If you belong to a church or an organization like that, you sit around all these people and you probably interact with them at some level, but you've probably never had the discussion of, hey, Thomas, what do you do? And starting to build those intersections, because it's a lot of times it's those intersections that we might not need today, but we might need 2 years or 10 years from today. And so continuing and you're not continually to sell, but it's to build that relationship. So what are the natural relationships that you're in today, that you have today, and how can those help you? And that's not why you're doing it, but just kind of having that mental list of, and it could be more than a mental list, it could be a LinkedIn list, could be a lot of things that as you go down those fields that you might utilize. At one time I worked for county government, and I helped a lot of developers and helped a lot of architects and designers and other things build things. And I sat there and I said, I've got all these contacts. Why am I not doing this? And so I actually put myself out there and built a project, but it's because of those relationships that I built, helped people with along the way, develop those relationships, and learn the process as well. So I think so that networking piece is valuable, but it's oftentimes if we show up to a room with 100 people, it's kind of hard to make that first step. But you have to understand that people on the other side are the same way, and really trying to kind of get yourself out of that comfort zone to meet some new people, but have some authentic conversation, not like, hey, isn't it nice it's sunny out today? You think it's going to snow tomorrow? Are you going to remember that tomorrow? Probably not. And it's also that follow-up. I mean, how many times do you go to an event and you meet a bunch of people and you got this pocket full of business cards? What do you do with those, right? If you could write a note on each business card, one word about that person, somehow you've made a connection, right? So it might have been where you grew up, might have been, I'm an avid soccer player. Well, not player anymore, but coach. Don't even try to get me to play. But there might be a connection piece there, right? That we talk about, and I might write that down, and it would be a way I could follow back up. Hey, Greg, really appreciate talking about your kids' soccer. Love to catch up a cup of coffee. And again, it's just a way to really sync that relationship. Somebody I met, and Greg and I may not do business for months or years, but we've started that relationship, and my hope is, and I might feed him some material that helps show him that I'm an expert in my field. At some point, he's going to need some type of service that I might have, and my hopes is that he comes back to it.
So how do you stay in contact with him? You're not going to be dealing with Greg for 6, 7, 8 months. I mean, drop him a line every quarter, or?
I think it goes back to that resource in today's world, LinkedIn's a great tool for businesses, but it's just another social media thing that I don't check on a regular basis. I mean, if you think about that. So if I were to send something to Greg that I think that's interesting, but that helps show that I'm an expert. It could be a white paper, it could be an article. Hey, Greg, I thought you might be interested in this. It's not blasted out to 100 or 1,000 people, and it's all listed on the top of the, it's sent, and it says, Greg, I thought you might like this. Now, you can mail merge that. You can do all sorts of tricks to make sure that it feels like Greg got it. But I know myself, my emails fill up all day long. And if I ever see something with 1 or 2 or 3, not one, but multiple names, I assume somebody else is going to take care of it. And I move on to something that's personal. If it's not personal, I don't look at. And so that's the other piece of, if you're trying to interact with somebody that's in a capacity that's really busy, you want to make sure, be careful not to send it every week, be targeted, and make sure it's something that catches their attention. Yep.
So you're networking, because as a student we all network, so say you're networking and you want to build a relationship and you have one shot at a very strong network. How do you leave a lasting impression during your first counter at a relationship?
I think being authentic Not trying to show, not trying to show that you're too smart or whatever else. I've always been open and honest, and so I've met some top CEOs, top businesses. Did I make a mark? Part of it is that I don't have the simple conversation. I might ask them, and oftentimes, what I would ask from where I sit today is, I'll ask them a question that might engage them better and remember me long term. So my question from business association is what have you always wanted your chamber, your business association to do for you? And I often ask people, what can we do to help your business grow? The other simple question that I ask a lot of people is, what keeps you up at night from your business? And I guarantee that CEO, if it's that one person that you wanted to talk to, that's a question not a lot of people are asking. And in a social event, people are saying, hey, how's your business? I mean, and people get bored of answering that. But if you did a challenging question, it depends on who that is. But the question I find that people think about a lot is what keeps you up at night? Because I could answer that. You ask me that, I can answer that real quick, right? Because I lost sleep over last night or night before or something like that. And it's something that's on top of their mind. Does that make sense? So. All right. What else can I tell you guys?
With social media now, everybody's trying to use it, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook,
Yep.
Facebook type thing. Those become pretty impersonal pretty quick.
Yep.
So how do you manage? You get to a point, you got hundreds of people you've met. I've only gone through the chamber for 5 months.
Right.
And I've probably met 50 people already, easily. So it's maintaining that bank without being so sterile.
Yeah.
You really only connect with a handful.
Right. I mean, I think on the social media standpoint, it's like we have Twitter account, LinkedIn, whatever else. Is making sure that you're true to what those channels are. I don't have a newspaper anymore, right? So I read them all online, but I use my Twitter account as information. And so if I tweet anything out, it's going to be news information. It's going to be more informative. I'm not tweeting out the next event that we're having at the chamber, because if you do, people are going to ignore that, right? And so it's making sure that you use those channels. I think it's just like the emails out to individuals. I'm going to make sure that I'm only going to make 1 or 2 touches that way, and then change it up. But being thoughtful. And it goes back to that, if you have that one opportunity, how can you maximize that one opportunity? And that's why I say open and honest. And I'm not gonna, and I think open and honest isn't what we get a lot of times. I mean, you might get polarization when people yell at you. I get that all the time, but and I don't mean that. I mean respectfully, trying to push, trying to make a different mark. So I'm not sure how, LinkedIn is the best probably tool for business, but, so I could post out there some things that make me look, like I'm an expert in my field, and that's great. But how many people are, I'm not, if I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at my, who messaged me, who, I'm not.
It's kind of like people's activities in it.
Yeah.
It's different, So I transitioned from the military.
Yep.
So when you're transitioning, you're on it
Yep.
all the time, looking for jobs,
Yep.
or looking for somebody that knows somebody that knows finding a job.
Yeah, I mean,
What I've noticed, most people, once they engage in the job, their Twitter's gone, or
Right.
their LinkedIn is gone.
yeah, it's more if I'm looking to do business with you, I might look you up on LinkedIn. And so you want to make sure it's fresh and it's updated, and that's where maybe you put a few articles out there to show that you're an expert. But if you only have 20 people who are LinkedIn with you, you know, I mean,
See, Tom, I'm not a big fan of LinkedIn because I don't have the account.
Yep.
I'm not on Facebook.
that's because you don't have it.
Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have it, but I'm always a firm believer. Sometimes the old way is the best way.
Yep.
You know, like I always, you know, people say if you had to do it all over again, what would you study? I said I would study art. Because like if I could learn how to write calligraphy, and specifically right now, if you can handwrite a beautifully
Yeah.
crafted note and send it to them with being authentic.
Yep.
I think that's a little bit more valuable.
Well, 100%. I mean, I've kept every card that practically that people write to me, right? And now my handwriting is horrible. If I wrote you a card, you'd be like, you know, without a third grader, it's not going to help you, right? I should have been a doctor, I guess. But I read every card. I don't get a lot of cards, but it's not a lot of people are. I mean, so it's again something that's unique that sets you apart. And the only reason I say LinkedIn is because business folks use it, and they're going to look at you on there. If I'm seeing if Thomas is real, I'm going to go look. That's going to validate or invalidate. I mean, I might not do business with you. Not if you're not there, that's one thing. But if you're there and there isn't much there.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that you need to have, but it's not. If you have it, do it right. Is what I'm
Yeah,
getting at.
because I see people with like 500 plus. I'm like, really? Do you really know? Do you really know
Well,
how many-
I'm at 26. I don't know what. I'm at
Yeah.
20. I'm over 2,000, and I constantly get these invites, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know who these people are, right?
Right.
So, but what are you doing? I mean, you kind of weed through it. And,
Yeah.
But-
My contacts is on my database, and I know each and every one of them, and I have notes on each and every one
Right.
of them that I talk to. You know, I try to
Yep.
get a little bit more information, like if you're a stockbroker, you know, they
Yep.
know what the last vacation you took
Yep.
and what your daughter's or kid's birthday is on and all that.
Well, I mean, it's just. I mean, that's a good example. Once you get a client, right, it's easier to keep that client than it is. And so the more you can keep and document, and people know that you build that relationship, that's a lot easier than go and find another client, because you're gonna have to go talk to 10 or 15 folks to get somebody else. And so
But ultimately, don't you have to like people?
you have to like people. You can't. There's no computer programmers here, right? You can't be like hidden in your office.
Yeah.
And it's hard. We're not all. I mean, even in my job, I'm not. I mean, I walk into a room full of people. That's not my natural ability. I mean, I'm not. I'd rather sit in the back and have a cup of coffee and and so it's hard sometimes to make that first step. But it's like anything. Once you make that first step, it's like getting on your bicycle the first time, and once you do it once, it's easier the second time. But and the others, there's no magic. I mean, if you go to, I guess nobody goes to a bookstore anymore. If you go online looking at books, there's probably a million different books about networking and building that. The key is figure out what's authentic. I go back to what's authentic to you, what makes sense to you. If you've got great handwriting, if you've got the ability to do that, that's a great way to do it. In terms of, that's a touch that nobody else is doing. Figure out a way that makes you stand apart. Depends on what your industry is, but a lot of people do a lot of the same stuff. But people gravitate to those. People gravitate to success, but they also gravitate to people that they like, right? I mean, who have you done, just whether it's a restaurant or whether it's, get your hair cut, I don't know what it is. Who do you know that goes to one of those places and says, man, I really hate this place? Right? We don't, right? We go to a place that like Indochine or, hey, I love that place, right? I know the owner, great guy, but you're not. And so you think about how you interact with and we're talking about a lot of service entities, but it's the same. I was interviewing architects the other day, and one guy called me, had a meeting right away, spent the time with him. One person never got an email from, right? So I figured, well, they either don't need my business, don't want my business, don't like me, whatever else. And so you move to those relationships. I don't know. We're all over the place. But.
So say you meet somebody and you're looking to network with them, and if I have to write a handwritten note, what's the most effective way to, what do I put inside that note to really make it memorable to them?
I think the note by itself is memorable. So yeah, I wouldn't say I have to overthink it. I'd you know, and this is me. I'm always asking people, what can I do for you? Is there any, you know, if you ever need anything, I mean, what I put there is really a pleasure meeting you. Appreciate your time. I thank people for their time always. Thank you for your time. If there's anything that I can do to help you, you know, please don't hesitate to contact me. Instead of, you know, hey, when can I meet you for coffee and sell you on my kind of gadget or something like that. I mean, you know, and but that's me. I mean, I think you have to think about what's natural for you. You're not gonna. I'm not saying you're gonna do that, but I think trying to figure out a way. But I just think the card by itself, and it could be. I did buy some note cards, and they're Kennedy. It was from D.C. and they're Kennedy cards, President Kennedy, and so I sent those out to folks who I knew who would like. You know, and I didn't say anything about the cards, but I knew they would appreciate the card just because it's from our former president, and so be thinking about what that looks like as well in terms of, are you located in Tacoma and you've got a card that has Tacoma on it? I get cards from our congressman. I swear, that guy writes more cards than anybody I know, and I've seen him. I've been in meetings where he's actually writing cards, and he'll just go through and he writes cards all the time, and it's just has his name on the card. So it's nothing special, but it's the point that nobody else does it. And here's a guy that's probably busier than anybody I know, and he wrote you a hand card. Blue ink, that's what I would do, blue ink. But that's me, right? Maybe your color's purple or something else. But it's, again, something a little bit different that stands out versus black.
I've been using a lot of those, you know, letter generating type things, but I've noticed that the most responses that you get if you try and go for authentic
Yep.
is that handwritten card.
Yep.
I was on a business trip and somebody said the idea, hey, just send cards.
Yep.
I don't want to do that. It's so cheesy.
Right.
But choose that. And it was just friends. I just sent them. They thought it was the coolest thing.
Right.
So within the week, I got phone calls from all of them.
Actually,
And-
yeah.
And it wasn't even business. It was just, hey, thanks for the card, man. That was so cool. What
Yep.
are you doing there? That and also, I do quarterly newsletters.
Yep.
To people I met. I think last 2 years may have gotten 2 or 3 responses. I sent a groundhog card. I get 60, 80 responses. Hey, thanks, man. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Actually, you did send me a card from the airport academy.
I did, yeah.
Because I'm a Zuni,
Right.
and he said, hey, we're thinking of you, we're in Colorado.
Yeah, just
I'm like,
selected.
I was like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that occasion, just sharing an occasion. So I got a chance to meet the chairman of our organization.
Wow.
And that became a discussion because I had the cards, I was writing them. And all of a sudden, we're having a discussion because he was doing the same thing. He had his stack cards. And he said,
So how many cards did you write?
25.
How long did that take you?
All combined, maybe 40 minutes.
Right.
Because some of them you wrote a little bit more. Others.
Right. But you think about it, 45 minutes, 25 cards, you know, you think about I always go to,
Broke it down.
Right. I mean, your return on that investment versus, okay, I could have sent out in 4.5 minutes those on email, and the response would have been, yeah. And so that's, I mean.
It turned out to be a fun event too because went to buy stamps.
Yeah.
I was like, shoot, we don't sell stamps, but here, I have a book of stamps here, you can have it.
Right.
It's like, whoa, that's cool.
Well, and I it's the holiday season, right? So hopefully you guys are all getting cards, and not for me yet. I haven't sold any, but it always amazes me when you open up somebody's card, and this is somebody you know. It's not, I mean, I know you, but it's still, it's mostly friends and family, and it amazes me the number of people you open up, and if this is you, don't admit it, but you open up the card, and here it's printed, Tom, and that's it. And I'm like, why'd you even spend the time to send me this card? It's got a picture of you and your kids or something like that. But how much time would it say is, even it'd be like happy holidays, hope you're doing well, something. But my point is, it's that would make it a little bit unique and make me think about it.
I haven't continued it, but when I was early in the Army, I had 150 people working for me. And I'll write them every single one of the birthday card and Christmas card. Wow.
And
that was the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
So being the CEO of the chamber,
Yes.
what do you do?
I have no idea, but no, I mean, a lot of people have a misconception of what we do as a chamber. I mean, our biggest strength in the chamber is, we have 1,700 members, 1,700 businesses, which equates out to be, thousands of employees that we represent. Our number one job is create jobs. I mean, is how do we get your business to grow? How do we get you to locate here? How do we, it's all those components. And what do you need to be successful? And then goes to my question, what keeps you up at night? I ask businesses that all the time, and I often hear transportation. It's also some, different hurdles that they have to go through, in today's world, whether it's multitude different taxes, whatever else. And so a lot of stuff that we do is political. We want to get the right people. We want to make sure businesses thrive and are focused in terms of our community, and make sure it's easy to do business here in Tacoma, in our region, in South Sound region. So I'm in Olympia. I'm all over the place. Meet with a lot of businesses. Yeah.
So I believe you stated that you've only been CEO of the chamber for 5 years.
Yep.
But can you tell me, I think from a relationship aspect, what happened to the relationship between Russell Investments and Tacoma that they left Tacoma?
That's great.
Such a vital part of Tacoma.
Yep.
What happened?
That's a good relationship question. I mean, a couple things happened. Let's see, are we on? So it is a classic example of I mean, whether you're a large business or a small business, relationships matter. And so a couple of things that happened is that you had a series of different CEOs at Russell Investments along the time, and so the first CEO was brought in Tacoma to this region, and as you got new CEOs, those ties weren't as strong. So the ties with the mayor, ties with other businesses, as you get new CEOs, the network was gone. And so now they start looking at their business outside in an island of what's the best environment. We can get into details of real estate transactions, some other things, but that was one piece. The other piece was, the city by itself has thousands of employees, and so I'll kind of, because we're being recorded here, what I've heard, and it was a little bit pre my time, was that they have a retirement. Everybody wants to bank. City of Tacoma, the city, county, different government agencies. That probably, whoever banks University of Washington is. They work hard to get that business. And so Russell asked the question of, we do have investment. We have 401k funds, and we have portfolios, and they wanted to be able to hook that into our community as well, because it's a great product, and they never were able to do that. And so when you think about how do we build a relationship, building a relationship is this, right? This one-on-one, but it's also financial. And if I want to keep my business here, or if you want to keep my business here, I want that relationship to go deeper, go financial. It's political. It's what decisions are you making that affect my bottom line, and those relationships. It was a given or a assumption that they were going to stay here, and they did. I would say the community didn't fight hard enough consistently along the way, and you see that with a lot of big businesses, that people assume that they're going to stay here, and they don't continue to fight. You think about Boeing. and a lot of news about Boeing in terms of how do we keep Boeing in Washington State, those jobs, the new lines, and what are the, there's some tax incentives to keep them here, and a lot of fight about that. How much money are we giving away? My argument would be is, are you giving it away? It's hard to give away what you don't have. So if Boeing leaves, you're not giving anything away. But how many jobs and how much new investment and new tax dollars do they create to stay here? And so to come back to, kind of a long discussion to get to Russell, but come back to Russell, I don't think people fought hard enough continually to make sure and ask the question. I mean, I've been in a lot of communities where I've gone to CEOs and they've said, nobody's ever asked me, what can we do to keep you, make sure that you stay here? And that's sometimes a vacuum.
Well, yeah, it seemed like Tacoma was growing distant because they were not satisfying Russell, and Russell was growing distant through the CEOs from Tacoma. And so it seemed like the relationship was ruined, and then when Russell was deciding whether to move or not, Tacoma was trying to scramble to repair the
Yep.
relationship with all these financial incentives, but Russell already made up mind, and so
Yep.
there was, Russell provided north of 900 jobs here in
Yep.
Tacoma.
And good paying jobs.
And good paying jobs, and so bringing very qualified professionals to the area. But what are some success stories from your time as CEO of the chamber?
I think, well, I came to Tacoma when the market, I mean, if you think about where the recession was and everything else, and so we had lots of closed up. I mean, it's, we filled that with State Farm in terms of Russell. I mean, that's, and you could, different paying jobs, different workforce, but there are more people downtown. To me, the number one success that we've done at the chamber is really on the transportation side, and we passed the completion for 167, which might not mean anything today. It will in 10 or 15 years. It gives the port, and not just the port, but the whole industrial area down there, through point to be able to get their goods and services in and out. And in my opinion, that would be I mean, it's 80,000 jobs is what that's going to create, not just here, but throughout our region. And so a lot of the things that we've done is more I would say, infrastructure. Story in the News Tribune today about a pothole that ate a few cars over the weekend. We passed, I think it's like $15 million every year for the next 10 years to fix the transportation, the potholes. And so what do we look like in terms of, if you pull into a city and all you see is potholes and you need an SUV to get through, are you willing to invest your business there? And so I think some of those things have to be fixed. The other thing that happens, and it's pretty common in Tacoma, is that we have a group of elected leaders who may not have ever run a business, may not have ever managed people, and that's a problem because they like to think that they're business friendly, but until you've been out there and lost sleep over payroll and struggle with keeping a business going, it's hard to really, it's kind of like, how do I put myself in your shoes, right? It's hard. I can, have similarities, we can talk about different things, but it's sometimes hard to understand those trials. And so one person's idea of being business friendly might not be the true need of what we need for our businesses. I think our strength today is startups, and that's why the work that Thomas and you guys are all doing here is vital. The other strength is the veteran side. We have vets coming out of the military, and most of them want to locate here in the South Sound, which is a strength for us. We've got great talent coming out of the military, and dedicated workers that it could pass drug tests. They show up on time. They're mission oriented. All those things. That's and right now workforce development is struggling. I mean, I hear businesses all the time that are struggling to find good quality workers. But yeah,
Well,
I don't know if I got quite to your answer. But.
I mean, you look at King County and their boom with tech, and it just does not seem that Tacoma and Pierce County, where it seems like we're lacking behind King County in the development of tech.
It's going to change. I think it's Bellevue, Seattle is getting saturated, square footage. People are starting to
Yeah, I
move down
mean,
to this area, moving to the kids'
It just
peninsula.
seems like,
I think this is gonna be the place to be at next decade.
but I mean, why isn't it right now? Because I mean, it's really high cost to operate in some of those areas. So it really seems like the businesses should already be coming down here to Pierce County, where there's lower costs, and it seems like more profitable for the businesses to make it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, this is not, we're a second city, right? We're like Oakland to San Francisco, and so it's not uncommon. I think we've built some infrastructure. One of the things that, I mean, there's a couple of things that inhibit us a little bit. One's perception of, if you haven't been to Tacoma in the last 5 years, it's changed a lot, let alone 10 or 15 years. But the other is the office space around here, and the rents. So Class A office space, if you're a 50,000 square foot building, Google just took up, I don't know how much of Seattle, right? There's not available space to take a not even a large business, a medium-sized business. We don't have the contiguous space. So no one's going to build that except for private sector, right? But you're not going to build if you're a developer. You say, okay, well, who's going to build? And these guys will tell you from banking. Not until rent rates go high enough will they build. And through the recession, nobody's building on spec. So I could tell them all day long, hey, we need a 200,000 square foot office space building, and great, give me, X amount of millions of dollars to do that. Otherwise, nobody's going to do it. And so it's this little bit of a chicken and egg. Up there, they obviously have infrastructure. They've got, success breeds on success, right? So good news, what we have down here is, I mean, having UW-Tacoma is a huge asset. And that helps spawn entrepreneurs, which grows businesses. We've been a great place to start business. What we need to do is make sure that we keep business. And Russell's a good example of that. There's company, I mean, Russell's a good example of a lot of things. I think there's lessons learned, but they started here, right? And so it was a real estate deal that really helped seal that deal. Could talk about relationships, other things, but how do we keep businesses here? There's a movement of, part of it is our downtown. I think we need more housing in the downtown, more worker housing, because the younger generation wants to work, play. I mean, it's what the asset we have is you bring anybody from outside of Washington to Tacoma, and they say, I want to live here. And especially if you've been downtown and try to live downtown, unless you like your 5 buddies that you in terms of renting a place, that affordability is really showing its face today, and so I think we just got to continue to push on it. It's going to take time. I mean, we just don't have the sectors developed like they've developed. We're working on them, but that takes time.
So if you, as Tom Pierson, being supreme overlord and you have all control over everything, what would you do differently to, get businesses to come here and stay here? I mean, and I know that, the city is doing a lot of stuff. They always lead with real estate, but it's not here yet.
Well, we always put up a lot of barriers. When development, it's a pendulum, right, in terms of development. Right now, as we talked about, we haven't seen. Last time I saw a crane, they're out on I-5. They're not necessarily downtown. Or in Seattle, there's lots of cranes. So why is development not coming? What levels can we, in terms of, what are the hurdles? Is it we have B&O tax? So if we're really competing, who we're competing with is the other cities in the South Sound. We're the only city that has a B&O tax. Is that enough? No, but those are all pieces. What can we lower in terms of that? There used to be an advertisement that, it's Mr. South versus Mr. North in terms of, hey, you can come get permitted in Tacoma and Pierce County, 6 months ahead of anybody in King County. So what are the advantages that we have or ability to move that? If you could tell me as a developer, you can build a building and get it through our permits in 3 months and be ready to build, that's time and money. And so those rents, even those rents aren't at a place, it might start to bump that up to that. But it's working on these. I mean, we have a cyber security sector that's growing here. So how do we make sure that we continue to grow that? To me, that's one sector that I think that we have a huge opportunity. You got JBLM by itself. I mean, they've got these same needs, and they're putting lots of time and energy behind it. So how can we, as a private sector, utilize the skill set that's there, and I think we can grow that. But it's also in the healthcare sector. I mean, we have a huge opportunity in the healthcare sector. Multi-care is growing, buying new facilities, and so how do we? But it'd be nice to have a research component. So no soft pitch here, but we'd like to have, University of Washington medical school here in Tacoma. If we could do that, now we're growing doctors, we're helping grow research, we're helping, in all those pieces. And I think that will then, it just doesn't stop at the hospitals, right? That feeds that whole sector.
No, just can I ask the relationship between the various chambers? I didn't realize there were so many chambers just in the whole
Yeah.
footprint here. Is it adversarial? Is it collaborative? Are there joint efforts going on countywide?
Yeah, I mean, it's collaborative. I mean, if somebody's looking to look, first of all, we're Tacoma-Pierce County, so we're countywide. So if somebody wants to locate a business in Puyallup, Sumner, as long as it's in Pierce County, we're good. They start to move to Thurston County, we get worried about that. But still, I mean, we want businesses to grow. Period. End of day. I mean, if you put a large business down, and I'm kidding about the Thurston County, but if you put a large business down there, it's going to have more impact. But obviously, we're going to be fighting for business in Pierce County. We'll fight alongside with our friends in Puyallup, Sumner Chamber, whether it's Gig Harbor Chamber, others, and we work together when it's legislative or other. I mean, it's one thing I think we have great opportunities in our region is when we find a common problem, we come together to find that solution. And you see that in mental health in terms of combining our hospitals coming together to figure out how to build a facility, how to build infrastructure around that. And you can't do that in King County. You have too many egos that are going different directions. And that's one advantage. I mean, I look at what are the advantages that we have? Back to your question a little bit. Advantages are we all can kind of come together for common purpose. JBLM is a huge advantage. Our, UW being quick and nimble as they've been is a huge advantage. You tie that with our technical, that whole stream of higher ed, technical, community college, our private schools as well. And I think we have everything here. We just need to kind of bring it together.
So what is going to be that tipping point that's going to make people realize, oh, we're coming? And what is that business or something's going to blow? Is going to happen? I mean, it's just,
I think sitting in traffic should be the tipping point.
yeah, it should be, right? You would think so.
I mean,
And it's already here. Sorry, we came a little bit late. I'm
That's
with
all
the
right.
City of Tacoma, and my guest, he's with Washington Department of Transportation.
Oh, very good.
WashDOT.
All right.
So I've been listening to everything, and I guess we'll ask more
Well, actually,
questions
it comes
later.
down to
But
six
the big tipping point, I can tell you, we're getting calls every day, is because of the ST3 expansion. I understand that might be another 15, 20 years down the line, but people are looking to, invest, inquiries all the time, buying up lots of properties for development. 2017, we've got the Convention Center Hotel, the luxury hotel, that is being built by FDI, foreign direct
Yep.
investment, which the chamber, is. So I want to say, I want everyone to know, the city is doing, we've had the economic crisis, right?
Yep.
And, but there's a lot of interest from foreign, especially the Chinese.
Yep.
Developers, as well as government. And, this area, we don't have a lot of natural disasters, so that's another reason why people are looking into this area. And finally, I think the major point is we're geographically lucky in the sense that Seattle is just having this incredible boom, and a lot of people are being priced out, especially small to medium-sized businesses.
Yep.
And so for those reasons, they're looking at buildings that they would not have looked at. For example, we don't have enough Class A space.
Yep.
However, in order for the Class A buildings to be improved, the owners themselves have to do it, but they know they're holding on to a gold mine, so they're just waiting, just
Yeah.
to develop it into Class A, so.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, there's some great things, as you said, and and I really feel like a lot of these infrastructure pieces are in place. It's just, we'd like it to be tomorrow. We'd like it to be, and it just takes time. I mean, it takes time. I mean, again, I sometimes think that you have to remember where we sit, right? I mean, we sit in this beautiful place. I mean, today's a great day. You see Mount Rainier, see the sound. Who doesn't want to be here? It's not snowing out, right? So it might be cold out, but it's not snowing. It might rain a couple days, might snow, but but the weather, you could be in the Midwest right now, right? You could be somewhere else, and you look at the economy of this nation, and we are doing, I don't know how many times, but multiply it a lot better than most of our region, most of our nation. And people want to be here, and that's where military is a good example of that, where you can see how they want to live and are supported here.
Are there any kind of outward or like outreach to large businesses to draw them in? Like I'm sure something happened to bring UW, or was it just a phone call saying, "Hey, we need a space. What do you got?" I'm sure there's got to be something.
There's a great story behind that. But Wazoo isn't actually involved, but
I mean, some kind of essentially selling the product of Tacoma in the county. What kind of efforts are being done there?
Yeah, I mean, there's efforts from the city has efforts as well. I mean, there's
like what companies are on the short list, or if that's private stuff.
it's all kind of secret stuff. But I mean, the groups that are working on, there's Economic Development Board, which is a private economic development group. There's Pierce County has an economic development division. The city of Tacoma has. They all work together. They all work together to, so there was a trip not too long ago where a number of folks went down to talk to a business who was thinking about coming here. The reality is that you don't hear about all those. I mean, think about, whether it's your business or something else that you're thinking about locating, you're not putting out there, you're not advertising too widely, and everything's available online, right? I mean, you don't need to, if you're doing a commercial building search, there's not a lot of questions that you need to ask, and so a lot of times you find out from the commercial real estate groups because they're getting pinged. But now if it's a super large business, then they need workforce, and so then the questions kind of come through. It could be University of Washington Tacoma, it could be through some others of, they're looking for a pipeline of employees. And so they're looking for programs that they can do. But the list that I've seen, they're fictitious names because everybody's keeping everything secret. If we knew, we'd be probably lobbying a little bit harder. But
there was some kind of a formula that brought University of Washington. So can that be replicated, or to some degree, to do a like project? I mean, the weather's great all year round.
Yeah.
That's one selling point.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a location.
Take a picture of today, and hey, it's sunny.
We have a location that people want to live. I mean, and that's we've talked about this for a long time. It seems people want to work, live, and play. I mean, that's why we're all here, I presume. I don't want to work in Seattle. I don't want to drive to Seattle. If I ever had a job in Seattle, I'd live in Seattle, and I'm not living in Seattle. So I enjoy riding my bike to work, right? And so I think that's going to be it's going to be the livability equation. It's going to continue to be stronger, and I see that with the younger generation. They really want, and they're helping grow our downtown, and so continue to push that. But yeah, I think that's going to drive it. Being on some of those, that piece will drive. Look at Weyerhaeuser. Weyerhaeuser is another good example. Corporate headquarters, I mean, they used to be in Tacoma, another one, used to be in Tacoma, moved to Federal Way, and now are moving to Seattle. And the reasons why they gave was they want to be where their workforce is, and their workforce wants them. And so no longer are you locating a business. State Farm's a good example. State Farm their headquarters is out in the suburb in Illinois, right? And so this camp, Tacoma and down in Arizona, I think it's in Mesa, is their two urban campuses, so to speak, in terms of that's their first trial of being where their workforce is. And I think you'll see more of that. And we just need to be ready for that. not ready with our Class A, but we're ready with some places that we could have some Class A.
See, that's kind of disturbing, because you talk about workforce. I mean, we just talked about JBLM. How many people are retiring out of a
3,000
year?
a year average, I think.
And they are
5
highly
this
educated.
last year.
But that was
5,
because of
yeah.
the pink slips, but if normalizes.
How much is it a year?
Well, they claim it's
normalization.
gonna be 5,000
Oh, okay, again, for
after
17.
normalization.
So after normal is at
So that's a
5,000.
huge number.
That's a
45% of them stay here and
Yeah, and they're highly educated, well-trained, like you just said, and they didn't even, I mean, they're 10 miles down the road, they didn't even look at them.
Right.
It's just like, hey, we're done, and they're mature individuals who probably have set foot on all 7 continents, you know, but
Yeah.
we're very cosmopolitan individuals,
Right.
you know.
During my transition, for those that were looking entrepreneur tracks or business tracks,
Mhm.
Pierce County had a huge presence. It didn't feel like Pierce County had that big of a presence. You know, eventually I learned about it, but when I was going through the transition classes, the Economic Development Center, the volunteers that came to the classes, people that volunteered, a lot of them were coming from Thurston County. That really surprised me, struck me. I know we're right at the boundary, but it's like,
Right.
and it's shifted. There's a lot more Pierce County involved.
But the advantage we have is you don't have a lot of folks from King County. I mean, outside of Microsoft and a couple of companies have got it figured out that are looking at transitioning. You don't have a lot of people at King County. King County doesn't, I mean, by most part, doesn't realize they have a joint base down here. But
Yeah, that's all I know.
yeah,
Well, they have a different view on military up there.
Yeah.
So, totally different.
but to me, that's another opportunity point.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be under construction for a long time. I mean, you look at just out here, this is the Nally Valley stuff that you see in expansion on I-5. You can probably tell the story better, but you add in the 167, you add in the widening of JBLM, the I-5 down there, and then the ST3. I mean, all those pieces are going to be, that's going to be another big positive. I mean, we supported ST3 for the main reason of we finally are getting our piece of sound transit, and it's going to cost, going to take some time, but it's exciting to hear that we're starting to get that.
You know, if it was for Pierce County residents themselves, we would not have passed.
Yeah,
It's King County that passed us. So, you know, sometimes I feel look at, do we even understand the direction that we want to go? People say we want growth, yay, right? But then they're like, not in my backyard.
yep.
So,
Well, the former chancellor of University of Washington Tacoma down here, she'd always ask the question, Deborah Freeman, of, you know, who are we? What's our identity as Tacoma? And I think that's still a little bit of a question, you know, when you ask, you know, why aren't we growing like Seattle? Why aren't we? We're not Seattle, right? I mean, and I'm not saying that you said that, but we're not Seattle. Our identity, in my opinion, is it's a little bit of, I mean, we've got some great creative, we've got great startups, we've got some great industrial. Industrial isn't bad, but you know, somebody once said it's beautifully industrious, you know, and I'm still looking for the tag, but I think that's when you think about, you know, I mean, we talk about Tacoma being gritty. I mean, we're you know, I mean, all those are a little bit true in terms of who we are as a people and as a community, and that's a strength. Those are all strengths that we should be able to grow on. But it all comes back to networking, right, Thomas?
Right. Comes back to networking. Yeah.
And
truly, thank you for saying that. Networking, I know so many veterans who've gotten jobs just networking. I know sometimes you don't want to put on the clothes and you feel like, blah, 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 you know, going to talk, but seriously, networking, you never know where those doors are going to come out.
well, that's a great point. I mean, I had somebody come to me not too long ago, and I mean, just within a week, somebody said, and I forget what it was. Could have been graphic services or something like that. And I had somebody come to me and say, I need somebody at this. And then pretty soon somebody comes up to me and that's exactly what the kind of work they're looking for. And so you just don't know. And that's where I always talk about intersections. And a lot of times we're stuck in the path and the group of people that and you know, it could be similar people, or I mean, whatever that is. mine's on the soccer field, like coaching soccer, so I'm there. But how do we step out of that to have a different interaction? You know, it doesn't need to be always intentional. It could just be, you know, it could be collisions that are not intentional that could really make that impact difference. I was at an incubator in Durham, North Carolina, and here's a guy that started up a rap. He's got he does rap, and he has a music. He does music for DJs for a lot of different venues, and he's in the middle of some tech guys and some other groups. A guy or a group that's making furniture, and they're all together, but they've all had these intersections connect, and they're all helping each other. And to me, in that little incubator with 50 or 60 different businesses, a couple hundred people, it starts to create that environment. And that's something that people don't often think about is that they might look at you as, what are you going to do for me today, beyond what are you going to do, what could this relationship mean, whether you work at City of Tacoma today, whether you work at somewhere else. And I always think back to a story about a car salesman, and somebody asked, why are you so successful in what you do? And they said, I don't look at you I don't look at my customer as a $25,000 sale. I look at my customer as a $250,000 sale. Because if I service you well today, you'll come back, you'll buy the next car, you'll buy the car after that, you'll buy your car for your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, whatever else, and that relationship will stay strong. So it goes beyond the sale or the interaction, but it's a long-term approach. And that's what I love about Pierce County is I think we have that. We set aside our differences and focus on what our
One thing I learned
needs are.
about Pierce County, you better be careful who you talk about, because they might be related. Because they might be related.
They might be related, is right.
Yeah, they might be related. But we only have a few minutes left, Tom. But what's the takeaway we should get from your presentation that we had to take away something here that you want us to remember?
I think it's find your voice, be passionate about something, and be unique and authentic in what you do, and I think that carries, beyond whatever business you're in, whatever product, whatever sales, whatever. I run a chamber of commerce. It's not who I am, but it's I'm passionate about business. I'm passionate about small business, and it gives me a way to have that voice and to be able to carry people's voice in that. So.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.